we should, stop babbling and, remember that we got a live show going on here, guys. Good morning, Brew Crew. It is a Friday. It's dreary up here. It is freaking warmer than it was yesterday because it was snowing. But hey, we're in New England, so...
It's snowing where you are?
Yeah, it was. I was busy doing my 1052 challenge, and it was snowing. I was like, hey, just chalk it up for what it is. It's New England.
Wow.
It was 67 the day before and almost 70 on Monday. I don't know. I don't know which ends up.
Oh my gosh. You're going to make me pull up the weather station.
I thought you consulted that all the time.
Well, I mean, I don't just always have the app open on my phone, but yeah, it's 41.5 degrees here right now, which is the warmest it has been all day. The low temperature that we've experienced since midnight was 37.6.
Yeah.
And our last measured rainfall was 7 hours ago. We've gotten 0.36 inches of rain in this current rain event.
Here comes mud season.
Yeah.
We are exiting the off-ramp of the third winter, turning into the mud season / bugs season, and then somewhere along the line we get like a week of spring and then intense summer heat.
Yeah, we got 99% humidity. It's like basically kind of foggy out there, and a UV index of 1, low risk. 191.6 watts per meter squared is falling on my weather station right now.
No vitamin D for me today. Oh, well. Well, with that, I'm Eric, N1JUR, and I'm hanging out with the weather girl here. And
I am Shannon, KC1OHT here in the U.S., or 2 Echo Zero Oscar Hotel Tango if you catch me across the pond.
All right. Wow. Well, geez, I like that little twist there. That's a nice little spin. Different. And this is Brew Activate, guys. So watching live, everyone say hello in the chat. Good morning to a bunch of folks there. We'll get to you guys in a second. You can let us know what's going on with you. And so maybe it's your first time here. I do see 1 or 2, maybe. Yeah, looks like 1 there. Welcome. You're officially part of the Brew Crew. So with that, Shannon, we got anybody in the chat we want to say hello to?
Yeah, we have Jurgen from the European Ham Radio Show, Alpha Hotel 6, Uniform November. We have Ted, Whiskey 1, TED. We got Roger. We got Mike, N2MAK. And we have Gamer Kid down in my YouTube as well. So
sweet.
Oh, and we have Dale W5DSL from Arkansas.
Oh, and Roger says it's 36 degrees in Spokane.
Oh, and Ed, Whiskey 9 US just came in, so they're rolling in.
They get their coffees, they're sitting down, they're getting ready, and they're saying, screw you, work. Brew Activates first.
KE8UFI, good morning. See, they're all talking in chat now because they want us to call them out. So
exactly. Well, that's the way it works. That's why we like doing it. So
we're getting that engagement.
Welcome to that roll call, folks, and good morning to you all. Give you a little background for those that are new to the channel. Well, we are Brew Activate. We talk real world POTA, the wins, the slow days, the weird stuff, which is a lot of it, apparently, and lessons you only learn by doing, for sure. So whether you activate, you hunt, or you just POTA curious, heck, you're in the right place for sure. Glad you're hanging out with us today. And so, heck, if you like this type of conversation, make sure you hit the subscribe and like and give us a little thumbs up. For both Shannon and I's channel, we are kind of streaming simultaneously here. So, we appreciate all the support there. And it's free for you guys. So, it definitely helps both of us out. We want to get Shannon bumped up there. So head on over to our channel if you haven't checked that out and get subscribe on there. Maybe we can get her to do a video too. I know she had a little bit of a desire to look for a camera, but that kind of faded fast. So, we'll see where that goes in the future.
We're still weighing the options. I might go with one of those DJIs.
Yeah, they're a good camera for sure. I love my little Pocket 3 and I'm probably going to replace my GoPros because they're, starting to get old and long in the tooth. The life of a content creator never ends, and nor does our, incestuous lust for camera gear. All right.
That's
well,
like the lust for ham radio gear, right?
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand for sure. Like, here's the little inside scoop for those that don't have a ham radio inspired YouTube channel. It's literally, poor zone a lot of times because you're always like thinking, okay, do I buy camera gear for the channel and boost, the content and the video, or do I buy ham radio gear? And, so you end up having to fight yourself a lot and a lot of internal, warring going on. So
Why not both? Like
because I do not have the deep pockets I once did. One day that will come back. One day. Oh, my All-Star is up and running. Hold on a second. Let me shut that off.
Uh-oh.
That way you have to listen to lovely conversation in the background. Not that it's a bad thing. I definitely love having my All-Star up and running. And those that might not know, we've got an All-Star node here for Live Free and Ham. So if you're an All-Star user yourself, you can always pop over to node 580871. Join in the party. We're connected to HR20 and a bunch of other cool stuff. So always fun to have conversations with those on All-Star. And I'm always on there myself. So anyway, that's a nice sidebar. So if you're interested, and you can't obviously always attend these live streams here, every Friday morning at 10 o'clock, we always like to get together, hang out, talk POTA. We've got a podcast format that you can get this show every time we wrap it up on every Friday, about an hour or two later. We release it out there into the ether, into our podcast format. So you can always catch us live or close to live. If you've missed out on the live stream itself and you don't want to go back to the YouTube replay. You can always put them on your headphones, earbuds, or, Bose headsets and just listen to us while you work. So always good. And especially if you got like long, you do landscaping, you mow the lawns, just put us on. Listen to us. It's the way to go. And if you do that, I want to hear about it. Let me know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you.
Yeah, let us know where you listen to Brew and Activate.
Very cool. All right. So with that, as always, up at the very top, we got pinned as our Discord link. If you want to be part of this conversation going forward, the Discord is where it happens. Check out the Brew and Activate channel. It's always full of people who love to help, not judge. Link is all in the description as well as pinned at the top of the show. So love to have you over there.
We don't just talk ham radio. If you like
oh my gosh.
knitting, crocheting,
oh
dazzling.
If you don't mind the doilies and the little like lacy curtains hanging in the the Discord, you'll be fine.
Listen, I am knitting a tank tea cozy. Okay, you can't get much more manly than that.
Okay.
And I also just ordered the kit from Mary Maxim for the Project Hail Mary Ryan Gosling cardigan.
Oh,
it's back ordered. It might not be here for like 4+ weeks, but I am so excited about that.
I saw that post. I am still out on the fence on that movie. Like I saw it with my wife. I haven't
seen it. I never read the book. No spoilers.
Well, there's not many spoilers. He hangs out with a rock. What more can you go with it? I didn't read the book. I walked out of the movie entertained. We'll put it that way. But I never there was a lot of things in there it was missing, and it kind of paralleled a lot of the other space movies, which I felt like was okay, where are they going to take this in a different way? So anyway.
He hangs out with a rock. Are we saying that it's Castaway in space?
It could be. It could also be, Space Odyssey 2001. It could also be, what's the Wilson parallel with Tom Hanks? Help me out here. He's stuck on the island with the...
I literally just said it, Castaway.
Oh, was it Castaway? Okay, sorry.
Oh my God.
My ears.
I can't with this man.
Some days you can't.
Help me here,
yeah. Hey, you wanted to go Easter shopping. You had the exit. You could have gone that way. All right. Well, with that, we are just going to skip over this, little banter back and forth because it's putting me further into the ground. And we're going to go into our favorite POTA Minute here. All right. Well, I was sorry. I was a little late on the delay there because I was watching Ted's comment. Did you post Ted's comment in there?
Yeah.
I kind of like the A-Rock or the Rock.
Listen,
No,
if you guys want to know a fun fact, I know we're sick of the banter, but did you know that I graduated high school in the same high school graduating class as the Rock's wife? Her name is Lauren Hashin. Her dad was Sib Hashin, the drummer for the band Boston.
That was a good band.
Graduated Linfield High School, class of 2002. So
What?
now
What?
you know an interesting fact.
Now, here we go. What's Shannon's favorite type of donut? Vanilla nut taps. Anybody know that Duncan reference? Put it in the comment down below. All right. Well, with that, we are at the POTA Minute. It's one small idea, one real world observation, about 60 seconds, just to get you thinking. There's no right answer here, guys. Just stuff we'd start noticing after a few activations or a few hundred hunts here. So if this has happened to you, let me know in the chat down below. If you do differently, even better. So here's our today's POTA Minute. So this one's about awards, motivation, and not pressure. Awards can be motivating as long as they stay optional. I know a lot of people, because it's been a little chatter on some of our club Discord here and whatnot, people are just really driven a lot of times to getting the awards and things of that nature. And they're, chomping at the bit. But one of the things that for me is that it can be a motivation, but as long as it stays optional because you're still enjoying the hobby, because for whatever reason, if you get so tied up in the goal of winning the award, you might feel like you come up a little short in the after receiving it. And so, think about milestones, think about not obligations, chase what excites you. That's the big thing. I think a lot of people talk about like all the big D expeditions and Galapagos Islands and things of that nature. And you always hear that in conversation. Awesome conversation. Good to support folks that, are, hunt for that passion. But don't make it so much of it a narrow focus that you just get to a place where that's all consuming you. And if you aren't into any of this, ignore the pressure. You don't have to be an awards chaser. I know a lot of people that still haven't uploaded a log to POTA yet, and they're just doing POTA either way, which is so mind-boggling to me. But whatever. One day we'll get that automatic upload, so they don't really even have to press a button any longer. Then once they finish their activation, it automatically sends it up for them. So with that, POTA works either way. And so, Shannon, how do you sit with this?
Well, I guess I would have to say, maybe I'm a little bit of an awards chaser because, as we know, I already have a kilo at my closest POTA park, US 2445. So I've kind of avoided activating at that park anymore because I'm like, I already have a kilo there. I want to get a kilo somewhere else. So, but then at the same time, I'm not, I'm not specifically hunting parks. Say, I haven't hunted a park in, I don't know, Hawaii or something. So I'm not only looking for POTA parks that are in Hawaii. I don't have set up on Ham Alert, when a POTA park goes live.
Right.
I'm not that obsessed with it. I just want to have fun.
Yeah. That's literally the whole crux of this is about having fun. And if awards chasing is, one other aspect of that for you, then dude, you're doing the right thing. As long as it's not the only thing and you're the old man battle of well, you didn't do, Spark Gap, so you're not a real ham radio kind of thing. Let's just push that crap aside. We're here to have fun. It's a hobby. This is a perfect example of, getting out, doing the awards, challenge yourself a little bit better. I have on my bucket list the N1CC award. Still have to keep working towards that. I have a couple things I need to put together to make that happen, but that is always in the back of my mind every time I do a POTA activation, and I will eventually get to it. So, as long as it doesn't consume me and as long as it doesn't just make my focus the only thing, then yeah, you're doing it right. Works both ways.
Is this thing John is talking about real? Because it sounds like an April Fool's joke.
No, it exists.
It tunes the radio, turns the beam, switches antennas all automatically? What?
So here's the thing. If anybody has a contact, because the problem is the POTACat guys, I have emailed both KM4ACK and haven't heard back. I'm trying to get a hold of him to have him come on. But the problem is their link to their Discord is expired. And so you can't even get on their Discord. So if anybody's got a latest link, send it to me at n1jur.nh or post it up on our Discord in the Brew Activate so I can get a hold of him because I want to have him come on and talk about POTACat because it was a pretty cool one that he did with KM4ACK, Smart Jason. And I want to have him talk more on detail level about POTACat because it's pretty cool. It's exactly what he says that, Don said. So, he is not lying. It's not April Fool's.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
So he's on my bucket list to get here on the show to kind of chit chat about. So if anybody's got a direct contact for him, click the Discord link there, Don. It doesn't work, at least when I went up there. it kept telling me it expired. So if, you know, and he doesn't have an actual email contact up there, which I'm very surprised at because I can't even find it unless I'm just blind and you know, can't see it. But I scoured that website looking for a contact. So yeah, if you got something, you got a lead in there, I love to get a hold of him and have him come on and talk more about POTA because it's pretty cool. All right. Well, with that, let's pop back to our main screen here. So yeah, if you've experienced that a little bit, yeah, let us know in the chat. Share your thoughts and opinions on that. And with that, we've got a pretty cool show today. So, you know, you might have tuned in to see that we're talking Support Your Parks Weekend, which is about 2 weeks away, but you know, it's always good to be a little bit ahead of the curve, especially if you might be considering kind of thinking like a POTA meetup or a group thing. We've talked a little bit about meetups and doing those types of things, but I wanted to kind of bring it back around here a little bit and talk just about what Support Your Parks Weekend is and in essence, you know, kind of getting a group together, because I know a lot of us POTA guys and gals will all get out. We all do our activations kind of on our own. Sometimes we meet up, and those meetups are always great fun, and they're just kind of just, you know, spur of the moment type things. But wouldn't it be cool if they're, you know, maybe you're part of a club or, you know, a group of people that you bump into from time to time from several different clubs. So you could, you know, organize a light, you know, kind of meetup. And what better to do it on Support Your Parks Weekend? One of the things we do in my club here in the New Hampshire state is we have a kind of a what we'll call our POTA coordinator, and he is in charge of, you know, just basically just kind of coming up with ideas around POTA and that type of stuff. He's a great POTA guy himself, Christian, N1COW. I'll put him on the spot here. He, you know, loves to just go out and do POTA, and so he kind of runs that arm in our club. But the idea that, you know, we do it twice a year because we obviously don't want to burn everybody out, and we know that not everybody likes to activate in the heat of the summer or the dead cold of winter when you know, SYP is in play, but we still encourage folks to get out and do that stuff. And so I kind of want to share some of that stuff because maybe you might be in a place where, you know, you're thinking like, oh man, I'd love to have more people kind of come and we can do this kind of impromptu meetup, or maybe something a little bit more formal, or maybe it might inspire you to kind of do this new thing I'm seeing that's popping up more. Have you seen like a lot more of these just POTA specific type clubs, Shannon?
I mean, I guess I would say, you know, Adventures in Wonderland, right, is sort of like
Like that?
almost like a POTA specific park. It's or a POTA specific club. It, you know, started mainly because we wanted to be able to talk with people that lived, you know, geographically close to us so that we could do things like POTA meetups. But now it sort of has also branched off, you know, our Discord has branched off into, you know, many different things and topics as ham radio discords usually do. Like, you know, we have Meshtastic, we have Off Topic, we have, you know, people making things, we have a CW channel. So, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I guess, you know, what else is a ham radio club supposed to be but people that have, you know, a similar interest, ham radio, but then also, you know, there's so many different hobbies within ham radio. You have to find those people that have those other similar interests within
Yeah.
ham radio.
And being like where POTA is such a very large kind of huge, you know, activity in many different facets, starting a POTA club is probably a good idea if you don't have something that's specific in your area, or maybe the club you're part of doesn't want to do that, or that's not kind of their focus. They might be more of a contesting club or, you know, general just kind of hang out. Then yeah, you go out and, you know, put something together like that, and it doesn't require a lot of effort to put together. And kind of one of the things that I'll throw out here that if you haven't been a part of this, or maybe you're just new to Brew and Activate for a little while, is that over on our lovely website. How did we fall off? That's weird. Okay. You guys hear us now? We back?
Can you hear me now?
1, 2, 3. Anybody hear us?
Audio.
No.
Check, check.
No.
Mic check.
Where did we add me back in?
They said
we all good now?
They said they hear us now.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is the wiki here real quick. And so one of the things under the general section I wanted to bring people's attention that we're going to be kind of talking a little bit around today is that we've got a POTA Meetup guide here. So if you want to download the list and you need something to kind of help you along, this is freely available to anybody to go grab. The whole list has basically some suggestions, how to get things going. And we like to add to it. So yeah, if you do use this, my only ask is, give me back some feedback. I'd love to be able to keep revising this. So if there's something that we miss or something we need to add or we need to tweak, yeah, let us know. Hit us up on the Discord. Hit me up via email. All of those contact information is down in the description below. And then that way we can keep adding to this because I feel like this is a missed piece of the community in the POTA world that we live in. And why not just kind of keep adding to this with the purpose that all people can benefit from it. And so if you've got some really cool, ideas or you want to put something together that we might have, not saw here or whatever, please contribute to it. And as we start to do more of this with Brew and Activate, I keep always adding to this as we kind of go through certain areas. So like SO2R, and a few other things. So just to kind of give you a quick background, we've got an activator guide section with a bunch of different things that we've talked about from previous episodes, as well as a hunter's guide that we're still working on. So in essence, I want to, add more to that. So if you're a hunter, anything you can contribute, love to have you there and love to have you be part of it. So
I don't know why any club wouldn't want to do POTA.
You never know. It's kind of one of those things that every club, and at least my experience in New England, some clubs just are used to doing the same thing because they do it to kind of sustain themselves and keep them going. Like we have a club up in a little bit above north of us, and their big thing is to have Hamfest once a year. That's all they do. And so, and I mean, they meet and stuff like that, but they don't really go beyond that. And there's not a lot of other activities per se. So a lot of them just don't know how to, or just know where to start, which I find so, mind confusing because it's like, it's not that hard. Just ask people to go out and go do a POTA. I mean, that's what I did. And just kind of went from there.
Bring a radio.
Mm-hmm. Make an announcement and say, hey, I'm going to said place this time, this date. Come hang out with me.
We're actually trying to figure out how to do a pizza POTA in the Adventures in Wonderland Discord. Adam, Alpha 1 November, if you remember him from last week's show, he has one of those gas powered pizza oven things. So we're trying to figure out how we could
make it right there. That's pretty impressive.
Roll that out to the park where we're calling it POTA, pizza on the air, or as I said, POTA, pineapple pizza on the air.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool. I kind of like that. We're for our sports park weekend for the club. We all know food attracts, and so we're going up a little farther than we usually do in terms of the POTA park. It's a great POTA park, but at the same time, I'm like, we gotta have food for this. So I told the club, yeah, we need to foot this, and we'll just do a little collection bin to kind of make up for the difference. But food keeps people coming. So that you're dead right on the pizza stuff.
Yeah, if you want to have people come to a POTA and stay for a POTA, you got to have some sort of food, and pizza is the perfect food, right? Because you don't need a plate because it's got a crust. You can eat it with one hand, and you can eat with one hand and operate the radio with the other one, right?
Well, when you do that pizza event, let me know because I'll be there.
Okay.
I will happily even help make said pizza if that was a need there. But
yeah, we're trying to figure out. I guess you have to kind of par bake the crust first or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit of prep.
So we were thinking you could just do it with pre-made crust, right? You could bring Boboli. Remember Boboli?
Oh God, yes. Do I ever? that was like a hey, I'm too lazy staple. It's what we used to. It's the upscale version of pita bread. I think. Those remember that? That's awesome. Sorry, I just saw Ed there posting that he was going to shoot a message over to Casey. So yeah, I appreciate that, Ed. Love to have him on to talk more about POTA Cat there. Okay, so with that, let's kind of get into our topic today. Again, around Support Your Parks, doing meetups here. So if you do already do this today, please chime in along the way. Let us know if there's other things that maybe you do a little different, or that you've added to your kind of repertoire when it comes to doing the meetups for your own group or club type stuff. And so with that, let's go over here to my Support Your Parks Weekend slides here. So, all right, let's make sure we're on the right slide here. Yep, we're good here. All right. So with this, for those that never have tried this, or maybe you're just kind of new to POTA, or maybe you haven't, you've been doing it yourself for a long time, we're kind of talking around that, thread there. But if you've done POTAs yourself, you're kind of a seasoned POTA meetup guy, gal, then yeah, let us know in the chat. Let us know what we can add, because I'm going to take all this stuff later and go back in and, like I said, keep adding to the wiki, so it can be useful for those ahead of us there. So we're going to talk meetups here. So the idea is, Support Your Parks Weekend is the excuse. This is the big thing. Like this is like we're handing it to you on a silver platter. Support Your Parks Weekend is like field day for all POTA people. Like they just literally, everybody's out there, everybody's activating. There's not even like a place that you could go wrong not making a contact. So it's very easy. It's very almost a layup to be able to bring new hams in, to invite them in, to let them be part of something that is pretty much like shooting fish in a barrel, because all you have to do is really kind of set up your gear, get your antenna going, and then get them on the air. And lo and behold, they'll be, dealing with pileups. They'll be dealing with people, contacts. They'll kind of get their feet wet. When we first did that, there was a couple of guys I remember in our second spring meetup. They were like, they brought their gear. They were kind of a little nervous. And then once they set everything up, they were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It literally just like ignited that spark in them, and then it just kind of took off. So that's what you're shooting for, is kind of the idea to get people to, really get excited about something like this, and then realize that they can go do it, and they can be part of even the larger group and keep, moving this forward. So it's not about one operator in the park, although that's fine. You can go do you, but bring multiple people with you. Bring new hams, bring non-hams, bring everybody with you. And multiple stations, they're a little trickier. You can definitely do them. I know like a few people that go the Toads events when they do their setups and whatnot, when, Hamcation and Hamvention are around. Yeah, it can get a little crazy with the multiple stations and not bandpass filters and stuff. So we're going to touch upon that not so much today, but we have an episode where we did talk about that. So I'll put that in the description down below or over on the Discord. So if you want to go back and check that out. And we're going to try to bring back incorporating clubs, because I think there's something important there that gets missed. And this is a good opportunity to open the door wide for clubs to kind of have an opportunity to grow and flourish again and become, good, ham radio operators and build friendships and stuff like that. So, all right, we ready?
Yeah. I mean, as if any of us needed an excuse to go out and do more POTA. It's like,
True.
Support Your Parks Weekend. It's like, do you like POTA? Well, so we put more POTA with your POTA, because there's just going to be more people POTA.
Gotta have more cowbell, right?
Yeah, and as far as like the clubs go, right? It's like the club should be the good ambassador for amateur radio. And what better way to be an ambassador for amateur radio than like getting out there in the public and doing more amateur radio? So,
100%.
and I know we kind of talked about this, I think, before. I don't know, it might have been off the air, but we were talking about how, you got to find the club that fits with your interests, and maybe that club that's closest to you is only interested in like meeting for breakfast once a month, and that's basically the ham radio club. And so that's why, like I said, maybe you might have to just make your own club, or get 5 of your closest friends to join to join that local ham radio club and just bring POTA to them.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect kind of segue here, because in essence, your job or I'd say your charter, your encouragement is, as a POTA activator and someone who does POTA already, is to just bring what you've learned and open and create an open invite for, those that may not know or may not have an idea or are too afraid to make the leap or realize that you have to spend more money, or, they just may not have the right equipment. It's kind of funny that a lot of hindrances people will have along the way to stopping them from doing something that really just doesn't require anything except just a little bit of your time and, going out and do it. All right. So with this, we're going to talk our next slide here. So come on, slides here. There we go. All right. We're talking why support Sparks Weekends. Perfect. We kind of already really understand this, but I just wanted to make this is a clear point. It makes it very easy if you're trying to organize something. And the benefit to you is that you don't have to struggle to worry about the radio side of it, because it's already, the environment is already there, right for the picking. So all you have to do is spend a little bit of time on the front end, getting the word out, encouraging people to come, making it pretty simple. And the rest of the radio stuff will just kind of play it out. All you really have to do is bring your gear. If you're doing this the first time, set things up in advance and get going, and people will then just kind of slide right in and start doing stuff, and then you'll have more conversations and things will kind of take off from there. So, the momentum's already there for you. This is just a perfect storm, as they say. Hunters are already there on the air looking for all these stations and all these parks available. Definitely more activators. You might actually come into a couple of parks if you're doing a Support Your Parks Weekend meetup. You might find that there's already a meetup somewhere else on the other side of the park. I mean, I was privy to that when we were doing a couple of of our first ones, and there would happen to be a couple of hunter or activators down the street at the same park, and we said, hey, come join us, come stop by and say hello. And so we encouraged people to come and be part of it. And there's definitely a lot more high energy with this. There is a lot of, we'll say, drinking from the fire hose moments, because you'll have a lot of people, one or two people set up with their radios. Those that are seasoned activators they know how to do their stuff. They'll go off and set up. They'll get their contacts and they'll come back. And or you could be in this place where, like, hey, there's a one central station that everybody can use, and you can do pass the mic. That is a perfect example of making the perfect storm work. To get the momentum going for future stuff. All right. So, meetup mindset, simple and easy. And this is going to be something we're going to fly through, because I'm sure a lot of you guys in here are very much or accustomed to doing or being part of, SYP events. Here's the mindset you got to kind of think of. Instead of thinking I'm going to activate a park, think I'm going to host a POTA meetup. If you change that mindset, you're going to be in a place where you're going to attract more. Because one lesson I learned is that it's not about the radio and getting the antenna set up and making the contacts and having the logging, because really you want to be available. You want to be open to having conversations, answering questions, inviting others in. Maybe there's people that walk by. You want to kind of be that ambassador a little bit to having conversations with people, and saying, when they say, hey, what are you doing? You can be like, hey, I'm talking to Australia. Or, hey, I'm talking to South Africa, or, Europe, or, Florida for that matter. And you can kind of very much create this environment that allows people just to plug in and bring their stuff. Don't worry about the myriad of problems you're going to have, meaning too many stations, too close antennas, all of those crazy technical issues that we all, know we struggle with when you do multiple radios in an environment. But think along the lines that you're just fostering and you're building, an opportunity, a place for people to come, ask questions, have fun, play radio, observe, because you will have a lot of people observe. I mean, Shannon, when you do these meetups over at Great Brook, do you find that people just observe a lot, or there's more people that are action?
I don't know if people observe, but we definitely have people that come up to us and talk to us, especially, like I said, at Willowdale, because it's like, I don't know, right on a major road there. Something about that spot, people just pull over in the car and, or pull over on their motorbike and come over and
Hmm.
start talking to me or Steven, whoever's there. So,
Yep.
and at Great Brook, I mean, like I said, people, when we are at Great Brook, even for the fall Support Your Parks weekend, but even before that, when we did a POTA meetup there just for fun, it's like because people hear us talking about it on the WB1 GOF repeater, then it's like anybody that's on that repeater, then they just come and stop by and say hi and hang out and start
Hmm.
chatting and bring their dogs, and you got dogs running around, you got Miles running around, you got, CW over here, you got SSB over there. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a perfect example. I think I found I love the WB1GOF is a near and dear to my heart. I grew up on that repeater. I know that repeater well and the owners and everything else like that. But it's always great in your local areas if you can put that word out, and don't be afraid to do an announcement in conversation several times, because I found when I first started doing it, the one thing I would be like is, oh, I'm going to be doing a POTA meetup, and what happens is that spreads. People listen a lot on repeaters. That's just sadly the ham way. Everyone listens, no one talks a lot, and so be that little noise, be that encouragement. Say, hey, this is what we do, this is what's going on, and I guarantee you'll probably have a lot of people come up, just be like, oh, I heard you on the repeater, and that's a little indicator to you, be like, you're doing the right thing, because that's our like official news wire, I guess, is the local repeaters, and so getting that word out when you talk to people. Even if someone's not like a POTA person, I find that they're like, oh, that's really cool, and so you're doing the right thing by getting more involvement and more people out there. If you've got if you're so inspired and you don't mind doing it, like we have each of our ARL section areas. Ours is the New England division. I know that they always look for articles and stuff that are kind of the news, latest and greatest stuff, or stuff that's coming up. And so I usually put together a small little kind of blurb that describes kind of what we're doing, and the dates and the times and where we're going to do it. And lo and behold, I just send it off to them and they post it up there. And you'd be surprised how many more hams, even outside of your geographic, local area, come to the event. We did one at Silver Lake last spring or 2 springs ago, and we had almost 43 people there. It was insane. I mean, I have never seen hams that oh, we just saw this on New England Div, and we were like, we're going to come and hang out because we don't know what's going on. And they, we had like maybe 2 stations set up, and it's just like, what do you do with 43 people? Not everyone's going to get on the air, but you're going to have a good chunk of people. So it was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who is listening, right? And there's so many more people who listen than what actually talk. I can't remember if I told this story about there's this gentleman who lives in Lynn that he does CB. I saw his car with the big antenna on top. So, of course, that attracts attention.
Mhm.
Turns out he has a kid that goes to the same school as Miles. So I ended up meeting up with him in the parking lot and chatting with him and asking him, why he wasn't licensed and stuff like that, or did he want to get licensed? And he was saying that he listens to the Topsfield repeater. And he was like, actually, I think I've heard you on that repeater. Weren't you
Surprise.
talking to some guy in England? And I was like, yeah, actually I was, because it is hooked up to Echolink now. So I had, my friend Mike, who's, often in the chats in the evenings, Golf Zero RFD, I had him on there and we were chatting. So, it's like, you never know who's listening, or, the 24-hour POTA that we had in the, the end of summer there. There was
Mhm.
that family that came with their whole camper.
I know.
And it's like, we
Random.
didn't even really know who they were. And, they just heard about it on someone's live stream. So they came.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Plan it
So
and they will come. That is what
build it and they will come.
that is what we should plan it and they will come.
Yeah. So Shannon hit the nail on the head. If you can do a little bit of planning and forethought, it will go a long way. The one other thing I would throw in there, a little thing, the mystery secret sauce that might help you, is if you got a buddy that's another POTA operator, give them the responsibility. If they can come, give them the responsibility of setting up the station. That way you don't have to think about that piece. You don't have to worry about it. You can then just to be the greeter, encouraging people as they come in, asking the questions, saying, hey, you can hang out, you can go set up, kind of give them a little bit of the tour guide approach so they know what they can and can't do. Because a lot of hams, they're going to be cautious, but at the same time, they're going to be like, all standing around waiting for some request or some like, hey, what can I go do? So don't be afraid that you can't kind of give them a little bit of a framework to work in, meaning that you can go set up farther off down the park, or you can be part of the station, or you can help out setting up another station, and kind of play it from there. But you don't have to have it all together either. This is the one thing that I learned too with these POTA events is that you can improve every time you do it. So, think about things. You don't have to worry about the bandpass filters the first time, but maybe the second or third time you do it, I guarantee you probably have more stations. You're going to need them. So, think in those terms and what you're going to do around that. But, as you keep building on the momentum, it's just going to be that much more enjoyable and fun and, exciting for everybody. All right.
Yeah, and someone has to be that hambassador, right?
Yes, and that is not a big title, guys. Let me get that clear the air there. Hambassador means nothing more than you're just willing to be able to do something. You're tired of waiting for someone else to do it. Step up, just try it. If it doesn't come out to be the way you envisioned, then heck, you've got more room for improvement. But if it turns out that you got 100 people show up, well, you've got a whole big ball of other problems to deal with. But at the same time, it's a good problem to have.
So I just mean so say there are people that are ham curious that are lingering around or watching or whatever, someone has to be that person that is like, hey, how are you? What's your name? My name's this is what we're doing. Someone has to be that kind of social person to go out there and make that first step. Just like when we were at the Krista McAuliffe Center, right? You would have a lot of kids and they would be walking by. But if we didn't actually approach them and say like, hey, do you want to learn your name in Morse code? Or, hey, do you want to try out this radio station? This is what we're doing. This is who we're talking to. If you don't have that like front person out there that's sort of the social person, then yeah, they're just going to walk right by and not pay any attention to you. It's like the barker, right? You got to be like the carnival midway barker.
Court jester.
Yeah, you got to be like, hurry, hurry, hurry. We got ham radio over here.
There's always a few. If you're in a club and you're doing this, a club, seek those people out, encourage them to come hang out because they're usually the greeters at Walmart. They're usually the greeters at like Cabela's, that type of stuff. Just have them come. They'll do their job very easily. They have no problems. And we have a couple of people in our club that I didn't know. And then when they started coming, I was like, wow, the kids are stopping. And then I realized, well, first and foremost, I'm on the wrong side of the table. I should be out front, not behind the table. And second of all, that whole encouragement, like have people that are there to support, like whatever the process is, but at the same time, be the person out front. So you're, greeting them, making them feel like they're welcome, and be part of it. So
that's
good segue.
My job,
and you do a great job at it. There's no problem there.
I man the visitors table at the Cara, field day, summer field day.
All right. So here we go. For those that don't know how to do this and they're looking for kind of a quick step and you want to do this, obviously simple. Pick a park. This is important. Find a park that has a good pavilion just in case it rains. Kind of do a little scouting in advance, especially if you do POTA yourself already. What parks have good amenities. And whether a park has a good relationship with the ranger. And also it depends, like at least around here in New England, parks don't officially open until May timeframe when, was it Memorial Day rolls through? Is that right? Yeah, I always get those 2 dates. Labor Day's at the end. Yeah, Memorial Day. And so when that starts the park season, that's when things get a little bit more challenging to kind of organize. But most of the time you could probably, use one of the pavilions there that's going to be unmanned and nobody's going to be there. Think in terms of protection. If there's no pavilion, bring a tent or two if you have the capabilities, just for the rain or some weird storm that kind of rolls through, because we obviously can't control the weather quite yet. And so until that
happens, not only sun and shade for yourself, but sun and shade for your radios. Because the radios and the batteries will overheat. Ask Grouch and I how I know about that. Thank God he had umbrellas, sunshades in his truck. he had
Yep.
everything in his truck except for spare batteries.
We won't go there.
But, so picking a park, right? Having good facilities, having bathrooms, very
Yeah.
important. If you're gonna be there for any length of time, if you're gonna be having food and drinks, especially, we all have our Dunkins. Dunkin' sponsor us. POTA runs on Dunkin'. You gotta have places to use the restroom.
Yep. 100%. Those things you kind of do a little reconnaissance a couple of weeks before, and that's kind of why we're doing this now, because SYP is coming up. So this is a good primer for you, so to get you going and thinking about that, and so you can start to do both the tandem announcements. But parks are important. Finding a good location and finding a park that has good accessibility, meaning like good parking, good access into the park, that type of stuff. Don't pick a park that you have to hike, 2.5 miles into, kind of thing, for your first POTA event, because it's probably not going to attract a lot of the general people to it. So think in those terms first. Obviously, time is important. Hams always have very little time a lot of times when they're trying to plan their weekends and that type of stuff. I always suggest maybe a 4-hour window, usually kind of like around 11 to 3 or 11 to 4. That kind of gives a lot of people in between. If you're not going to be bringing food, then you can do after like 12, so like 1 to 4. That way you get an opportunity to have people like get their morning stuff out of the way, and then they can come hang out with you in the afternoon. Or if you're more so inclined, do it in the morning, and then that way people can just roll out of there and go do their errands and weekend stuff that they usually have planned. So lock that in, get that all set before you start making announcements and sharing stuff with clubs or people around you. Basically provide directions to the park. Not everybody knows where that is. Locations, GPS coordinates, pins, that type of stuff. And announce that a lot. Especially if you have the platforms to do that, that's the place to do it, because people, they see something go by and they're like, oh yeah, I want to go to that. And then it's 2 weeks off kind of thing. And then they forget. So feel free to run the announcement mill over and over again. And then that way, when they remember, they'll put something in their calendar, or they'll remember to go back to the email, because they'll have the quick address that they can do a quick Google, map. I was gonna say MapQuest. Holy crap! They can do a Waze, kind of thing.
Wow.
I know that's like an
how,
old. That's
how old are you? Let me
Yes.
go to the AAA office and get my trip.
There you go.
But so that's why actually I didn't realize it was Support Your Parks Weekend coming up, but I try to make events on Discord for literally everything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a Discord event for Support Your Parks Weekend after this, so that it can be in there as a reminder. I have Discord events for when Brew Activate's going live. I have Discord events for Long Island CW Club classes. I have Discord events for the Kara Coffee Open House. So yeah, you gotta talk about it often, talk about it early, and providing directions, very important, because let me tell you, we had the Pokey POTA back, last month. We had that one random Tuesday. Oh, it was during the YLWWA. So we had that one random Tuesday where it was like 72 degrees here in Massachusetts in March. And so we decided to have a little Pokey POTA at the Willowdale State Forest parking lot, right? Well, one of the guys, Dave, KA1MSV, was coming up from Swampscott, and he wasn't clear on the direction. So he was on, Route 1, and he got to Line Brook Road, and he went left instead of right. So he didn't go in the right direction. And he was like, I was driving all around and I couldn't find you guys. So then we finally, when I saw him at Kara like a couple weeks later, I pulled up Google Maps and I was like, where did you go, man? And he, showed me like, oh, I took a left. And I was like, yeah, you were supposed to go right, dude. So make sure you're clear on the address. And then he said he didn't have a radio or something with him, or
You'd be surprised. It happens.
So he said he didn't have a radio, he couldn't call out. But I was like, you had your cell phone, you could have always called me or texted me. I mean, you have my eyeball QSO card, it has my phone number on there. So have backup forms of communication. I think someone in the chat had said further back, have a radio that's monitoring 14652. So
Call in frequency. Yep.
in case someone's around and they can't find you, then,
Mhm.
you have that so that they can find you. And then also, maybe, have a cell phone number or another backup form of communication so that, if someone doesn't have a radio, they most likely have their cell phone.
Yeah, totally. 100%. That is always critical, no matter how easy you think it is to get to a park, because you've done it several times over and over again. Always have those backups. And again, feel free, if you've got a few people that already expressed interest and they want to be part of it in some way, give them the responsibility to be the guy who monitors 5-2, or give them the responsibility as the calling guy in case you're lost, kind of thing. So people have ways to be able to get in touch with you, and they don't bail because it's too difficult or whatever, because that sucks to be a lost opportunity. And I know I would never want to have to go back around, because I feel bad, because I'm like, dude, I invited you. I encourage you to come. I would hope, you could find us. And then one of the things that kind of helps is, if you're so inclined, if you go to a park and you're doing like a summer Support Your Parks weekend or whatever, or just you're not, and whatever, you have a ranger option, let the ranger at the guard station know, especially if you have to pay to get into the park, that type of stuff, that you're having this POTA, this loose event, and the people are looking for you, you're over at this location. A lot of the rangers will have no problems, encouraging, people if they ask that question, and they're more informed and they know what's kind of going on, versus being surprised when they kind of walk up on you and going, what the hell are you doing? Like, what's this all about? Make friends, not enemies, is the saying that we've talked about in the past with the rangers and stuff. So, but yeah, don't worry about the spreadsheets at this point. Like, just go out and try it. Figure out after you're done, when the weekend's all over and the dust is kind of settled, think about what can we improve? What can we do? What can we do? That's where the spreadsheets kind of play in, and, a formal schedule. But, it's going to take a little bit of momentum. And my experience, and when I've done this in my club, it took me literally three times, 3 or 4 POTA Support Your Parks weekends to finally get more club members to come, more people to get encouraged, more momentum. Because I would always get from the club members, I totally forgot about that weekend. I really wish I could have come. I had to go to the dump, or, whatever. And there was some life got in the way kind of approach, or it was just in a weird time. So, know that they are genuine with their, they want to come, and they eventually will, but just keep doing it. And it will then just, eventually give them more opportunities, because they can't ignore it at that point, if that's, why they're involved or interested in it. So, all right. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, you don't have to go above and beyond. This is not planning for field day.
But it could be.
It eventually might. I'm going to be honest.
It can be every day when you POTA.
Yeah, it sounds like a t-shirt.
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time.
There you go. All right, so let's talk about how you can avoid some of the chaos. This is not a complete list. I guarantee this. Some of this stuff might happen to you, or might happen in the event. This is kind of the things that, for me, can go sideways fast. So, multiple operators in a park, we've all been privy to it, especially if we do meetups, or you've done the Toads events in past. Radios and close proximity antennas and people stepping on each other, all will happen. It's just kind of the nature of things. It requires maybe a little bit of communication, and encouragement, to those operators that are well seasoned. If you're a good operator and a good activator, you're going to be butting up against some of this stuff. So be cognizant of it. Kind of help out. Don't hinder the process. Don't just show up and set your, DX commander up and run 100 watts. Drop your power down. Go a little farther off. We'll operate on a band that might not be widely used, like 20 or 10. Think about those around you and the core of the event itself. So if you've set up your event and you've got 2 stations already, you got a sideband station, you got a CW station, or an FT8 station, whatever it is, you set up the bands appropriately. If you feel like they're close together, try to bring some filters just to play it safe, but get your antennas for those 2 stations as far away as you can. And make those the core stations that people can use and try their hand at it. But if you always have a few activators, and we all do, they all come, they all bring their gear, they all want to show it off, they all want to activate, obviously, because they're at the park, they want to get it in their logs. let them know that they can do that, but just to go as far as they can away, and just be cognizant of kind of some of the bands that, you might be operating. Let them know that these two stations are operating on these bands, and that they could use the other bands. It might help alleviate some of that stress. And, get it into the mode of communicating. I think that's the biggest thing as us hams that we don't do well is communicating. Communicate to those that are all there. Hey, if you want to operate your station, it's totally okay. Just go find a remote place that's a little bit farther off and pay attention to where what band you're on and where. And that might alleviate some of the stress. You still might get a few people that are, cause a little bit of over interference or, whatever, but, know that you're just going to have to deal with it. And it's kind of part of the whole process. You deal with that when you do your POTA meetups, Shannon? No.
Deal with what?
You paid attention. Basically overlapping stations, where, you have a bunch of different stations all setting up and nobody's got any control.
No, we mostly only do one station because, nobody has any bandpass filters. So, I think the one that we did where we did sort of have two stations was that one that I was just talking about at Great Brook Farm that was in the summer. And one person, they had like a KX2 or something like that. So it was only like QRP. And I think they were just trying to do CW. And then we had, my, I think it was my FT710 hooked up to the Wolf River coil. And we were doing SSB on that. But it was mostly just, just doing that SSB station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a challenge. I have done a few, like I said, in the past, and you just have to be cognizant of it, and you just have to let other stations know that if they do set up, kind of minimize your contacts. Don't try to go for 500 contacts. Try to go for 10 and then shut your station down. Let other people try their hand at it. Again, this is an experience for people to kind of come in and be part of it. It's not intended to be, racking up the most contacts. If you're going to do that and you want to do that for Sports Park Weekend, go get your fill at another park, get your 100 contacts or whatever it is, and then come hang out with these guys and then share your knowledge and, your equipment, do a little bit of a show and tell kind of thing. And so, that will go a long way further than you just kind of setting up at the park and activating and then kind of leaving. I think that kind of takes away from the event. Be part of the event and adding to it. Don't take away from it is basically this kind of, approach that I'm kind of pitching here.
Well, that's what ends up happening, right? Is that, like you get all these hams together and then actually nobody is activating the radio and everybody's just standing around talking. And then you're kind of like, asking like, hey, did you want to make some contacts? Did you want to make some contacts? Trying to push Miles on the radio, like, Miles, you want to make some contacts? Which now that he has activated his first POTA, maybe, this Support Your Parks weekend will be the weekend where, maybe he's going to start to get more on the air. So.
Yep. Yeah. Brandon actually has got a good comment there. VHF and HF is a good option. If you can definitely try to do a VHF, UHF station too, as well. A lot of the time that gets forgotten. I think I just automatically think HF gear, bring it. That's what we're going to do. So, bring some of those VHF, UHF type of stuff, give people a chance, especially new technicians who aren't quite ready for HF, and 10 meters might not be in a good condition from a band space, propagation perspective. VHF, UHF is a perfect opportunity to get them still on the air and still make contacts for a POTA park.
Well, and here's the thing too, is that, VHF, UHF is so underutilized here, in the United States for whatever reason, if it's because we're so spread out or what, I don't know. But VHF, UHF is huge in the UK. Like they have they have separate field days. They have like HF field day and then they have like VHF, UHF field day. So, and they also have an extra band that we don't have. They have 4 meters. But so, they have, 70 SEMs, 2 meters, 4 meters, 6 meters. So like maybe it's a good time to test out on Support Your Parks weekend. Like test out some 6 meter SSB, test out some 2 meter SSB, like, bring a Moxon, bring a Yagi, bring something.
Yep. Yeah,
Try
I would say
new and different.
I would say this is probably some of the advanced stuff. Don't do this for the first one you do. Just get something set up, like get something going. Then, like as you kind of get into the long game with this, yeah, play with those spaces. RF and find out, as Mike N2MAK says there. So play that game, get people more excited to try other bands, and really kind of look for those people that are doing these activities. Because in essence, they'll be able to be the ones that will want to try some of those activities on different bands and different configurations. So, yeah, very good there. All right, so this is the one thing I'd leave with everybody with this. If you're going to be doing this, just know in the back of your head you're gonna have this happen, because people just sometimes don't always know, that might not have experience with dealing with a lot of radios and a lot of people. But if you've got one or two stations, you probably won't feel any of this pain until things really start to, kind of get momentum. Bringing in new operators. This is key to this process, because in essence, there are a lot of technicians in your club, I'm sure, or in your surroundings, the people you talk to on the repeaters. They are the guys and gals you want to invite. Those are the people that you want them to come, because they're going to be the ones that are going to get the experience of the pileup, the activity on HF. If you've got your own call sign, great. If you've got a club call sign you can use that even better, because that ultimately gives the opportunity for everybody to play in the space. As long as you've got permission from your club or activity. I know with Whiskey One, Live Free and Ham, if you're part of that crew and whatnot, we encourage you guys to use those call signs, Shannon. With that, one day we might see more activity. AC1RH, Keith, a good friend of ours that we've had on Live Free and Ham, and talked with him. He's a POTA crazy guy. I mean, literally, I just got a text from Ham Alert saying that he was on again today. And I think this is his first of two. He activates every day, twice a day. So it's like he's getting his daily dose of ham radio, every day, no matter what the conditions are. And he does an awesome job. But yeah, he's the same way. It's like literally he'll use Whiskey One, Live Free and Ham, and have fun with it. So it's all good. But with new operators, this is important. They're going to watch. They are going to back off. They're not going to be, we'll say, the most outgoing people. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, well, they'll ask a few questions. They'll, kind of be a little cautious. Know that's their kind of MO, because they're just getting into the hobby. Kind of come alongside them, encourage them, ask them if they want to try, ask them if they got any questions, really just be this as an opportunity to create an environment that just fosters them to play more POTA. They're going to learn, obviously. When they leave there, they're either going to get more excited, they're going to start thinking about how they can max out their credit card next, or they're going to be thinking about like how they can go home and build the better antenna than the one you bought commercially. That's kind of one of those things that gets them going. But more so, before they leave, at least try to get them on the air. That is important. If they leave there without being on the air, and again, don't force them, but if they're there and they're just on the cusp, and we all know what that feels like, because when we do our community service stuff with little kids, they're a little apprehensive. But once you put the handy talkie in their hand, they're like, oh, dude, this is no problem. They kind of like, it's like a tablet to them. They just kind of go at it, and it's, simple and easy, and they're chatter and you kind of just encourage the conversation. Same thing kind of goes with, new technicians. Just sitting them down, let them spin the dial, let them, kind of experience the process, and then go from there. And this also, I'm picking on technicians. I'm not saying picking on, but I'm focusing on technicians. This also goes for the generals and the extras that have been in the hobby for eons and only do radio from their shack. Get them outside. Let them experience the outdoors and fresh air. And, the fact that they could sit there, pick the radio on a picnic table and watch the birds at the lake, and still make contacts. They'll get all over that. They'll love that stuff. And just really lower the barrier. That's really the bottom line. This is all about bringing more people in, right?
Yeah. That's sort of the whole thing of POTA, right? Is to make ham radio more visible, bring it
Yep.
out of the basements, out of the attics. We're not just like a bunch of either like weird people, or it's not just all old men. There's younger people in
Yep.
this. And I think, we sort of mentioned this before about how, a lot of people, younger people especially, are into, satellites. And
Yeah.
with everything that is going on, like the Artemis launch the other day, which we never mentioned.
I know you forgot
um,
to. What was your? Yeah, you were
Listen,
all gung ho on it.
we had so much, like rambling in the beginning, and we could just ramble forever.
That's fine.
Um, but I'm still fired up, ha ha ha, about the Artemis launch. I watched it with Miles. He had his little Saturn II rocket plushie that he got from the Krista McAuliffe Discovery Center. I was wearing my NASA shirt. I wore it again today for the show. And
Yep.
the way that the way that we learn about how to use radio communications and train those next generation of radio communicators and electrical engineers is through amateur radio, right? So, and the way that we communicate with the Orion capsule or the ISS, or when we eventually have a base on the moon, right? We're not running a cable to the moon, guys. We're not running a cable to these, celestial bodies that are orbiting us. We're using radios. So,
Right.
you know, uh, the getting more younger people into it and learning more about satellite communications and how radio waves work and propagate is it's not just about talking to people when there people are always like, well, I have my cell
The
phone,
phone.
I
Yeah,
have
I
the
can call
internet.
France. I can call France. Like
you
they're using a
know
radio.
Yes, our cell phone is a radio, people. The reason why we have cell phones is because people experimented with radio. The reason why we have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is because people experimented with radio and frequency hopping.
Yep, 100%.
Thank you,
So
Hedy Lamarr.
yes. So Todd actually had a good point. Icebreakers for text important. Don't put them on the spot, but encourage them to kind of open up and have a little more conversation and ask the questions, because that's where they get better at it. That's where they learn, and so it's important to give them the space to do that. And meetups are a perfect place for that. There's no rush. There's no need to get contacts and like field day. Like everyone's like, oh, I got to get many contacts for the club, or we got to do this, or we got to set up, and there's not enough time to always engage people. Well, yeah, this is the place. This is the go-to station for your field day, but it's open to everybody. So, all right, I want to throw a couple things out to the folks in the chat there. So, first and foremost, I want to know who in the chat there is looking to do Sports Parks Weekend. I mean, it's obviously 2 weeks away. If those that don't know, it's always the third weekend in April. And actually third weekend in every of the 4 months. So if you just put that on your calendar, it just makes it easy to remind you. It's April. My gosh, I just forgot the months off the top of my head. April, July, October. All right. Yeah, this look it up, Shannon, if you can.
It's January, April, July, and October.
There you go. All right. So those are the four. They're always the third weekend of those each of those months.
The third full weekend, I think.
Full weekend, yeah. Right, yeah. I think every weekend. It usually falls right in the middle. Most of them have 4. So with that, it makes it very easy to kind of get things out there. So I'm curious, those, I assume Jabberjaws is probably going to be doing something. I'd be very surprised if they don't. But yeah, if you are going to be doing an event and you are doing a meetup, whether it's just you and a bunch of folks together and you want to draw more, I'm encouraging you, first and foremost, if you haven't been part of the Discord, the link's pinned at the top. Come be part of the Discord. Post that stuff over on Brew and Activate in the chat. Let me know about the event, what you guys are doing, what you're planning, location, park, that type of stuff. Just kind of give me the 5W, who, what, when, where, and why. And then I will basically, over the next couple of weeks, keep just circulating this. So my goal next, Brew and Activate, we're just going to announce to folks that, hey, this stuff is going on. These events, and I'm going to spread it out to all the socials that I have, just so people can be part of it. So if they're in their area and they're part of either Shannon or I's channel, or N1J or in general, I'm going to extend this over to Live Free and Ham too as well. So we're just going to kind of spread the love, let people know that there's these other events going on. for Sports Parks Weekend. And so, yeah, post all those details over in our Discord under the Brew and Activate section. And then that way, over the next 2 weeks, I'll announce it to everybody, let everybody know, because I want to have more people come to your event. I want to have more people be part of POTA. And so let's help one another. I'm willing to help you guys. So just let me know. Give me about 5 minutes of your details there. Yeah, Mike, you always get something there. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, everyone be like Mike. Mikey likes it. Sorry, that was another 1980s reference. You never saw the Life cereal ads?
What? Yeah. Hey, Mikey, he likes it.
Mikey likes it. Yes.
Yeah, Miles likes Life cereal too.
Yes, I can't eat it anymore. It gives me heartburn for some reason. I don't know why. I'm old. All right. So with that, and maybe if you are going solo, I'm also encouraging you to. I say go find another, new ham or a friend you might have met on the repeater, or, somebody, that might have an interest. And here's the key is like, if you have someone who's expressed an interest, but they haven't made the second or the next step to getting into parks on the air, invite them along. If you're going to go out for Sports Parks Weekend, say, hey, come with me to the park. You can come hang out for an hour or two, whatever. And we'll do an activation together. And I guarantee once they walk away, you'll be having another POTA activator in your ranks very quickly. Because I know a lot of people that I've had conversations with that have picked my brain on setups and, gear and, what should I do with this and so forth and so on. And what has turned it into is, they finally have made those steps. And so just shortcut it and basically invite them to the POTA on Sports Parks Weekend. And I guarantee you'll get them fast tracked to getting into the POTA ranks and joining all of us in the fun that we do all the time. So, and the last part, if you are going out on Sports Parks Weekend, go activate for a little while. But if you've got a POTA meetup somewhere in your area and you know about it, go. Just hang out. Become an ambassador yourself. Don't go to really activate. Bring your gear to kind of demo and show and tell kind of stuff, but don't go there with the intention to activate. Go there with intention to be able to be available for questions. Ask so people can ask, hey, what's your setup? What do you do this? And how, what antenna are you using? Because those all come up, and all, that knowledge you've got in your head that you've learned from all your activations, you can just pass it on to someone else. And again, build momentum and get more people interested. And I guarantee it goes a long way. Shannon and I both have been recipients of that. But at the same time, we also have given back, and it just is awesome. And it's a great way to just keep the program going. Okay. So let's kind of wrap up here because this is a good topic. And I think, is very normal for a lot of the folks here in the chat, because I see a lot of very good people that have already been doing this. Shannon with the Hillbilly Ham Radio Club and a number of other people in there, all are doing this. So I applaud you guys. Keep it going. Encourage others. Just keep bringing more in. So just the machine kind of feeds itself. So,
and POTA is basically the future of amateur radio, right?
Luke, you're my only hope. All right. So with that, wrapping it up. Sports Park Weekend is really where I think POTA guys and folks in general can really, really shine. This is just an easy layup, a great opportunity to be able to get people on the air, a great way to get more people involved in the hobby. But turning something that you normally just do every weekend or every day or whatever you do into a meetup is going to be way more rewarding for you. Might be the impetus to get you more excited to want to, do stuff, because sometimes we do get into that like groove and it's just like kind of the same thing. We know what we're doing. Sometimes you need a little fire to kind of, stoke the flame there a little bit. These are great ways to do that, because now you can take what you've learned, pass it on, encourage others to do it, and create an environment where you can watch, you can learn, and get people on the air. It's simple as that. Once they do that, they grab that radio, you text a friend, post in your club Discord if you have a club Discord, or on a mail list, or spread the word to, bigger, and wider audiences, and get people out to the park. That's what it's all about, getting them out of their shacks, getting them into something that we've all experienced and know very well, and why we do and talk about and share and encourage and grow. This is what it's all about, because POTA is fun and solo, but it's a whole new experience when you do it with other people. Would you agree, Shannon?
I'm sorry, what? I was reading Mike's comment. So, great show. You touched on valuable lessons we've learned from our POTA events, like encouraging others to get on the air, having greeters to welcome people, and avoiding stations interfering.
Yeah, all good stuff. But I was saying, where when you're doing it alone, it's great, but it's even more rewarding when you're with a bunch of other people that share the common.
Yeah, no, POTA alone is like, I don't know, kind of a little boring now, I guess. I don't know. I'm such a social person. Like, I like to have people around me, even just like hanging out in Discord as I do most days, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just having those people adjacent feels good.
Yep.
Even if you're not like really doing the same thing, like you're just hanging out, right? Like, I think we miss that of like just hanging out and like, I'm going to sit here and knit. You can sit over there and read. If you want to watch TV, that's great. But like, we're just sort of together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is ham radio is the original social media apps. It was very much getting people together, having conversation. And now we get to do it face to face and still, make contacts halfway around the world. That's the big thing for me, is that I get to do both. I don't have to decide one or the other. Cool. All right, guys. Well, like I said, please head over to Discord. Let us know if you've got some, meetups going on in your area, or if you've got a couple of clubs that are doing it. I don't care where it is in the world. Let me know. I'm happy to share it and spread the love. In fact, I will, even go as far as the lengths of, trying to get, other posts in, off ARL and other places, just because I think it's important that we just get more and more word out there. And giving more and more people opportunity to just stop getting tied up in the day-to-day stuff of life and get out and play POTA, because that'll free you up. That'll, break those chains, as they say. So all good. So yeah, with that, any last little bit of, advice or anything you want to throw on the floor there, Shannon, or should we wrap things up today?
Ham without a plan. I just shared his comment. He was saying POTA is also a great place to learn that your gear has a failure point and being able to fix it in the field. And
100%.
he's had coax go bad and had to do a quick field repair with pillars and solder. And here's the thing too, right? Is that like, if you get more ham people together, right, and you have something that breaks, maybe that other person has something that can fix your gear. Like, maybe you didn't bring a soldering iron and everything that you needed, but maybe the other person has it. Or, maybe you can trade gear, right? Or you can test out each other's gear. POTA, so going back to testing out gear. So someone saw at the first POTA, it was Jeff KC1JSN. He saw how fast and easy it was for me to set up my Wolf River coil with the Faraday cloth. So he went and ordered this whole same thing that I had, the Wolf River coil, the Faraday cloth, because he thought that POTA was too complicated, that you had to have some big antenna and whatever.
Oh.
And so he ended up ordering the same setup I had. So it's like, you can see new different things, new different ways of doing things, and then, you spend more money.
Yeah. Yep. That's POTA is a great encouragement to help me open up your wallet. That's what I've learned. So all good, guys. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody here hanging out with us on a Friday morning. It is, I'm getting a little bit more challenging, but dude, I appreciate all the, folks here. It's always good to see new faces as well as, our regulars here. So keep it going. And with that, again, send me your stuff. I want to spread the word. I want to get more people involved. I want to get, clubs out there, doing POTA meetups and more people, kind of just running with this and going crazy. So, with that, I will post more of mine. I have our club one. I'll post that up there for folks in the Northeast here that are looking for a venue. We're going up to a pretty cool park, and the name escapes me, but I'll put all those details in there. And there will be food, my friends. I'm cooking, so there will be food. So can't miss that one. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys, everybody, for being part of today's show. And as always, make sure if you haven't checked out all of our lovely sponsors that help support the show. We're talking about Mad Dog Coils. We're talking about Reliance Antenna. All these are great antennas for POTA, 100%. and Spool Tenna. So check them all out. I have, if you're looking for a quick little discount, you can head over to n1jur.com. There's a little discounts link at the top. You can get some money off on future purpose if you're looking for an antenna for the next Support Your Parks weekend. Now is the time to get it because it's going to take a little time to get to you. And with that, thanks again for hanging with us today. Remember, whether you're activating, hunting, goals simple, have fun, stay safe, keep exploring. And until next time, keep your radios on, the PTT down. My gosh, talk about mellow here on the room. I'm going to give us a little more effort here. Until next time, keep your radios on, the PTT down, and POTA on. I'm Debbie Downer.